Hi, it's Kevin May in the Phocuswire studio here at the Phocuswright Conference 2021. Doug Miles, you're the CEO of Youtip. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, and congratulations, you are one of our Hot 25 travel startups for 2022. So very rigorous process we go through, and just wanted to say thanks ever so much for coming to our attention. It's a great business, which is what we're going to talk about now. So I'm curious, how did you come up with the idea, first of all?
Oh, I've been thinking about this for probably a decade.
Okay.
Just uncomfortable in situations that call for tipping and not having any cash on me. The situation, the environment wasn't right to create the solution back when I first started thinking about it, but a lot's happened since then, including smartphones shipping with QR code reading technology and widespread adoption of QR codes in the United States.
Okay.
The two last things that I needed to start actually developing the technology to solve the problem in digital fashion.
Okay, and how many years has it been in development now? Just talk us through that.
Oh, we just formed the company in September of 2020.
Yeah.
Development started in September and we launched the product in January of this year.
So a fun time to launch a startup.
Absolutely.
So how did you go through, so turn of last year, you've had this idea burning around for what would have been 9 years then. Mm-hmm. Why did you still go ahead in September 2020 to launch it? Was it because you sensed that restrictions were going to ease, people were going to go back to dining and all those kind of things?
Absolutely. I knew we'd recover from the pandemic. I can tell you the exact moment I decided to take the step to make the company. I was sitting on the Chicago Riverwalk and I looked over and I saw a gentleman in his 70s with presumably his grandchild, probably 9-10 years old, both scanning a QR code to look at a menu. And I thought, okay, now I can do this. No app required, we can get this done. Okay.
So what's been the receptiveness or the reception from the outlets that the table staff are working in? Because, and we can come back to this again in a minute, in the UK, where I'm from, there are lots of different models, if we can call them, around tipping. And I'm not talking about the level of tipping. I would imagine there've been some interesting conversations that you've had with restaurateurs and other providers to say, this is the way we want to do it. What do you think?
Absolutely. That is the situation. Everybody wants something different. So we had to build a very flexible system that's also API based. So we're able to do tip pooling, tip sharing, as well as direct one-to-one tipping as well.
Okay, and has there been any pushback from the restaurateurs and the other outlets with regards to the concept? Because some may, we only want to deal in cash.
Yeah, so that's often a question up front, but I think the world is coming to realize that the disappearance of cash in general is really hurting workers. So people are starting to accept, business owners are starting to accept the fact that they need an adequate substitute for cash, because the workers are truly suffering and it's harder and harder to recruit people when the money's not coming in through tipping.
Okay, and how do you get your users?
So we actually sell to businesses. So we offer an enterprise solution.
Right.
And an enterprise solution, we call it enterprise because we're able to rapidly deploy and manage across many locations, under many brands with multiple configurations.
Okay.
So specifically today, our primary focus is hotels. But if someone has 200 hotels and they'd like to roll out digital tipping, we can do it in a couple of days after they provide us with a few details.
Right, okay. So the idea is if I'm staying here at the hotel, I'm going to one of the restaurants here down by the beach or something, and I would be encouraged to download the app and use it that way. Is that how you work?
Actually, there's no app download required.
Okay.
We use a secure web interface. So we're using the technology that's already on your phone.
Okay.
So what you'll see are QR codes throughout the hotel or on a worker's badge, or in follow-up emails or text messages, you can access a secure tipping screen by tapping through a link.
Okay.
And primarily today, it's not so much food and beverage as it is what we call discretionary tipping. Those tips that are not attached to a guest check.
Okay.
So valet parking, housekeeping, your cabana attendants next to the pool.
Yeah.
If there's not a check there, we're filling the gap so that you can tip if you're not carrying cash.
Okay. So very, very different types of tipping cultures in different countries. I remember the first time I came to the US in 1996, when you would go to a bar and every time you got a drink, you'd give them a couple of bucks. And that was just completely alien to me because that's not the way it is in the UK. So how do you kind of adapt the system or not if you then decide to launch in the UK or France or any other country?
It's interesting. When we first launched, we were surprised by the number of international inquiries we got from every continent. A lot of it was attached to food and beverage, but primarily for pickup operations, or we call it curbside. I'm not sure what it's called in the rest of the world.
Right.
So we can adapt. We're able to service most countries. But yeah, the demand's been a little bit lighter, but we've also found that hotels that are frequented by international travelers very much want a tipping solution. So for whatever reason, and this is a surprise to us, big international destinations with travelers from many, many countries, they need a tipping solution as well.
Okay, so talk to us about the business model for you. So it's an enterprise system, as you say. So this hotel would buy the enterprise from you, and you would, is it like a software as a service type of a model or something else?
It's a combination model.
Okay.
So we take a small convenience fee from every transaction. And beginning in 2022, we'll start charging on a per property basis for hotels. We waived that for the year as part of our COVID recovery package. We wanted people to start adopting the system rapidly, so we removed every possible hurdle. So there's really no cost for anyone to adopt the system in 2021.
Okay, so you talked briefly then about 2022. How does this evolve into other things, or does it evolve into other things, and what could those other things be, do you think?
It absolutely does. One of the things I'll be highlighting today is the evolution of the point of sale. So when cash disappears, guess what else disappears? The cash register. With the technology we have available to us today, there's really no reason to stand in line anymore. So in cases, say you're a tour operator and you've got a ticket booth with a cashier, why not put up a bunch of QR codes where many people can access your POS simultaneously, purchase their tickets, and go on about their day without having to wait in line? Those types of situations we plan to eliminate. If there's a line for a cash register, we see that going away in the near future. On top of that, the way we're set up, we have 3 product vectors we're following. One of them is employee facing. So those tip recipients, we're building a digital wallet for those folks, not just for collecting tips, but for other things like automatic savings, automatic micro investing. Here in the United States, we have something called a health savings account that's incredibly utilitarian and helpful for tipped workers. And that platform in particular will evolve beyond tipped workers to a general consumer application.
Yeah, and it's extraordinary just to seal the circle here that this is something you just couldn't do 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Right.
I mean, and here we are, and you've got this brilliant business. It's now noted as one of the hot 25 and all this kind of thing. Do you sometimes just sit back and think, wow, I can't believe that this did finally come together, because you have been working on it for so long, or thinking about it for so long?
I try to have those moments, but I'm not the type of person that relaxes and enjoys things. The joy for me is the journey. So what we're building next, what we're thinking about next, and the problems that we're solving, that's where I find the joy, not what I did yesterday.
Okay.
But I'll try. I'll get there at some point.
That's almost quite a profound moment to end on. So Doug Miles from Youtip, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.